I am retired Air Force Master Sergeant Bert Gillott, and former non-commissioned officer in charge of protocol to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. On February 2nd, 2010, I was standing at the copy machine in my office, directly across from the Admiral Mullen's office in the Pentagon, when on the TV over my head, Secretary Gates and Admiral Mullen were speaking in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee. It was then that I heard those now famous words spoken by Admiral Mullen. It is my personal belief that allowing gays and lesbians to serve openly would be the right thing to do. I stood there in shock. I was overwhelmed with emotion. Never did I believe that I would hear something like that in my career, even in my lifetime. This coming from the highest ranking person in our military, someone from whom I truly respected and admired. I was tired of lying, tired of worrying if I'd be outed, wrenched in fear during routine security investigations, worrying that the next phone call from the commander was to eject me from the military for being gay. That day, a 29-and-a-half-year Master Chief, with retirement orders already in hand, started to loudly complain about the morality of this country. How glad he was that he would soon be retiring from the Navy. That Master Chief indeed did retire before the repeal was enacted, and before I had the opportunity to tell him myself that he had been serving alongside gays and lesbians his entire career. On the day repeal finally arrived, Secretary Panetta and Admiral Mullen held a press conference in the Pentagon press room. I was there to witness that historic moment with a handful of other individuals. Later that afternoon, in a room full of staff and security, he asked me why I had attended the briefing. At that moment, I confessed to him and everyone around, I'm gay too.
Yeah!
His first...
Yeah!
His first reaction, if I recall, was confusion. Then realization, which brought a huge smile to his face as I then began to thank him for all that he had done for us. And then he thanked me for my service. It was with Admiral Mullen's courage and leadership and his personal belief in us that I was able to serve my 24th and final year in the Air Force with honesty and integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, the former Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Michael G. Mullen.
Well, what an exciting evening, and it's long overdue. Actually, I get to speak in front of a lot of audiences. I'm almost caught very short of words tonight. I guess for Deborah and myself, more than anything else, we'd just like to say thanks for honoring us. We don't seek these honors. We have sought only to serve and try to make a difference, particularly in people's lives, for the greatest military in the world. And I do understand I get a lot of credit here, but one of the things I'd pass on for the great courage that it took, but one of the things that I'd pass on, and I know you know this, is actually pretty easy to stand up for what you believe in. It's pretty easy to stand up and represent a value that you have held close for your entire life, and be fortunate enough to be in a leadership position when that value actually crosses over at a time and in a place and in a way where you as a leader can really make a difference. So I felt blessed to be there and blessed to represent all of us in the United States military at a time that made such a difference in so many lives. It shouldn't be lost on us, and I know it isn't lost on you, that we have just entered our 12th year of war. We have 70,000 soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen deployed in Afghanistan tonight as we are here, and we should keep that in mind, and their families. Keep them in our thoughts and our prayers. They're courageous young people who have made such a difference, as you have. And so this celebration tonight is one of great gratitude, quite frankly, from me to you for your service, and for those who've walked this path, who've been on this journey for a long time, and many of you in very difficult times, and times if we could, we would reverse, but we can't. And what I know you can rest very comfortably with, for those of you that have been here and through the most difficult times on this issue, that it was really you that paved the way, that created the opportunity. Many of you whose picture I saw up there in the video, but many thousands of others that made a difference for those that come in your wake. And that future, our young people, our military, our ability to serve, no matter who we are, is such a gift to America as America looks to the challenges that we have in the future. And that we can, because of the leadership that's represented here, we can actually put this behind us and get on with much more important business. We live in a great time of change, and change will continue to occur at an incredible pace. And the changes which have occurred associated with this law, I think, represent such a watershed event that I'm sure others will follow. You can't do this without great leadership. And while I get a lot of credit, believe me, I had a lot of help. And I'd like to single out Aubrey Sarvis for what he has done over a long period of time. And has carried this issue forward in the most difficult of days, but his sustained leadership and those with whom he works has made such a difference. I also would like to personally thank Ted Childs and Elizabeth Birch for their counsel to me, because anybody in a leadership position, anybody in any leadership position needs that counsel, needs that support, needs that advice, and there were no two people who made more of a difference in my life with respect to this than Ted and Elizabeth, and all of them that work in support of their goals and their leadership and their desire that people be treated as equals in who they are in terms of their lives and their ability to make a difference in the future. So to Ted and to Elizabeth, thanks in particular. Lastly, and this is just because, and I said I wouldn't say a lot, but that's probably not true, I would like to thank the sponsors tonight: Verizon, UBS, Bank of America, Diversity, Inc., Bank of New York, Mellon, Bloomberg, Winston and Strong, Viacom, and Pernod Richard USA. For without you, without the sponsorship, most of this, and certainly this evening, would not be possible. And I was told earlier tonight that in this initiative, just this gala, we've raised over $700,000. A lot of that is going to our wounded, to our veterans, and we should never forget the families of the fallen. So thanks so much to the sponsors tonight as well, and to all who made this possible, to the great troupe from Broadway, to those who contributed their time, to Barbara Walters, who does spend a lot of time on this and does give and does care. And it's leadership voices that really do make a difference in so many ways for our veterans, for their families, particularly as we transition to a difficult, back from the service, back from these wars into a difficult economy. So I'd like you to, in addition to keeping in mind those who are in harm's way tonight, those who serve, your shipmates, your battle buddies that have been out there, as they transition out, many of them to civilian life, to make a huge difference. I really do believe this generation that I've had the great privilege to lead is the greatest generation, and will take our country, despite the challenges, will take our country to great heights in the future. Some of them are here behind me, and they really are. And either I'm really old or they're really young. As I'm fond of pointing out, there's not a military unit in the United States military whose average age isn't about 21 years old. And it's been that way for a long time, and they carry an extraordinary burden, and have, and will in the future. So doing everything we can in our country to make sure that they are able to do what they can do is absolutely vital. Part of that now is to have this burden that has been lifted go away. So congratulations to all of you. Thanks. God bless.
All assembled here this evening, we are pleased to present you with this gift of appreciation for your years of service, your commitment to integrity, and your support for all the men and women of our armed forces. Thank you.
Just because I still have the mic for a second. I've been married to a wonderful woman for 42 years. Who knows what deployments are, who knows what it is to raise kids when I'm gone, who knows and who has injected herself into the issues of our armed forces today. And I am truly blessed to have her as my angel on my side as we've been able, and in great good fortune, to be able to serve. So, honey, it's great to have you here tonight. Thanks again.